Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to our fellow travelers. Thank you for taking the time on this weekday to join us for this exclusive travel webinar. I am Kirtana, your host for today's session. Today, we will be discussing some strategies for managing your finances during your travel stays. Firstly, I would like to welcome Kaushik, our product manager at Multipl, the first speaker for the day. And our second speaker for the day is Mr. Nikhil Joseph, the investment analyst, and then I am Indore alumnus. So you all know that we have all heard this phrase or dialogue. मैं उड़ना चाहता हूँ, दौड़ना चाहता हूँ, गिरना चाहता हूँ, बस रुकना नहीं चाहता. So to fulfill all those dreams, let's see how we can plan our finances in a way to fulfill all these dreams. Now, I would like to hand over this presentation to Kaushik. Hello, Kaushik. Please guide us through your expertise.
Yes. Hi, folks. Hi, Kitana. Thanks for the intro. So I'm Kaushik, and I work as a product manager at Multipl. I've been traveling for the last 3 years since the day I started making money. So it's been both international and domestic traveling that I've been doing for the last 3 years, and it's been interesting for me. So now today we are going to talk about travel more for less, more on booking strategies and budgeting techniques. So the session agenda is planned in this way. We are going to cover steps before you travel, financial aspects of traveling, how to plan these investments, shifting mindset about travel financing, long-term travel goal. So I'm not going to take this session in a very regular cliched webinar style. Let's I'm going to talk about more of my experiences, whatever I've experienced in the last 3 years, good things and bad things and stuff. So let's take it that way. Yes. So just a quick question, right? Imagine going to a place without any burden. So when I say burden, I mean to say without any guilt, debt, or any stress. How good the place would be, right? So I mean that's something that I always want, but more often than not, it doesn't go that way. So there is always a last minute stress that happens. There is a lot of stress. In fact, not very little stress. And of course, there is some guilt. Okay, I could have done it this way. I could have planned it that way. So with all these going, so it's not. I'm not quite enjoying in the trip. This is something that I've experienced in the first 2 years of traveling. When I was just starting to make my own travel plans, it was not that great. So that is something that I've learned very recently, like how to plan your trip in a way that you can go and just enjoy the trip without worrying about anything. So we all go for trips just to have a good peace of mind, recharge yourself, energize yourself, right? But when that is not happening, then what's the point? So yeah, and before we proceed, there is a poll that is coming your way. So I would love you all to take that poll. Uh, Kirtana, can you trigger the poll? Yeah, great. Is the poll triggered? That's great. Uh, how do you show the insights to me? Yeah. Oh, that's great. So, what mind shift do you find crucial when it comes to travel financing? Please select one option. Managing overall travel expenses. I'm with you on this. The same problem. I'm still facing the same problem, to be very honest. Managing the overall trip expense. Every time I plan a budget of X, but it is not always the X. It goes much beyond X, and I have to end up really looking out for ways to pay back my all the bills. So I'm with you on this, and it's good to see the other votes as well. So three people have voted balancing travel cost, shifting from a mindset, letting go. That's great. Thanks for the insights. So we'll get this started. Before you travel, there are a few researches that you will have to be, doing whenever you plan any travel. You travel to any places, right? It's not just a domestic travel plans. It is even you have to do the research more for the international travel plans, which are generic, very general research. So when general research includes, you know where exactly you're going to travel. So you have to select the destination. Let's say you already selected the destination. Then what are the activities that you're going to do in that place? Average cost and unique factors and stuff. When it comes to specific research, this is where you have to be more mindful about, because there are some specific things that you might need. That is very subjective. A lot of people might not need that, but you would need that. So when I say this, I mean one example that I can give you is the hotel choices, right? So I usually prefer to stay in a hostel, but you may prefer to stay in a hotel with restaurant and spa or any facility for that matter. So these are some specific needs that you will have to do your research. And food, clothes, and climate is also one good example. So you will have to do your research really well, because you never know how the weather is going to be. But this is something that you can know if you do your research. Based on that, you can also pack your stuff. So what happens is that when the place is going to be super hot, there is no point packing your jackets or sweatshirts. So that will end up carrying more weight, and that is going to spoil or affect your travel experience, and that is something that you will have to do. So general and specific research have to be done like 3 to 9 months prior to your travel. So that is very important, because a lot of times what happens is that we start to plan everything just three months before, and all these three things, general research, specific research, and bookings, everything happened in the last 3 months. So we end up not planning it properly. So because of which you might have to go through a lot of stress, guilt, or debt, or anything for that matter. So you have to be very mindful about this. And now budgeting for travel, how do you make a financial decision? So there are a few factors that you will have to keep in mind whenever you're making any financial decision when it comes to travel. So these are the factors: finding destination and suitable time, transportation, accommodation, exploration, exchange rates, and currency conversion taxes. So there is one thing that you should keep in mind. So every year, out of the money that we make, how much of that money is going to go for travel? So that number is very important. If you ask me, minus 10% of my total income is only for travel, I'm not going to spend more, or I'm not going to spend less. But this is the number that you have to keep in mind whenever you're making any travel plans. You should not go more than that. So please have your number. It can be 20, it can be 15 for you, or it totally depends on the person. But that is the number that you will have to keep in mind. Yeah, let's proceed to the next slide. Yes. So we went to an extent where we kind of put down all the places around the world, their off-season, shoulder months, and peak. So we'll take Europe for example. Europe's off-season is between November to March. So the positives of traveling to any country or a place during the off-season is that, so you will get everything for a cheaper rate, because they are trying to sell something. The people there just want to get the business going, and which is the reason why actually they are ready to give you for cheaper rates, and that's a positive, right? And there are also some negatives. In Europe, it is already cold. During the off season, it's even colder. So that's a negative. So there are few things that are on the positive side, and there are a lot of things which are on the negative side as well. And shoulder months are basically, it's between off season and peak season. So peak season, you should obviously know peak season is the best time to visit the place. The positives of visiting a country or a place during the peak season is that you will have a really good time. So the weather, the climate, everything is basically perfect for you. But there are also negatives in the peak season. The cost is going to be super high than the off season or shoulder months. So that is something that you will have to keep in mind whenever you're planning. Make sure you know at what time exactly you're traveling to a destination, whether you're traveling during a off season or a shoulder month or a peak season. So I think Keetana will send this slides with you all. So you can look at all the places, their off seasons, their shoulder months in peak seasons, and there are a few exceptions that we've written down as well. Uh, so the next thing is can we proceed? Yeah. So now I'm going to quickly talk about the specifics. There are a few things that I would like to cover about when it comes to transportation. So transportation is actually, it is a pain, especially when we are traveling to a new country. Transportation is definitely a pain. So you never know how to travel from one place to the other place. Of course, we can definitely spend more on cabs, but do you really want to spend so much for almost all the intercity rides that you want to do? So that is something that you can actually plan in advance. Just talk to the locals. So this is one thing that I would highly suggest. Or talk to the locals and see what's the best way that you can plan or that you can travel to any place. So if I have to share my experience, when I was traveling to Vietnam last year, and we were traveling from a place called Hoi An to Hue. So those are two places in Vietnam. So actually, there were a lot of folks who traveled in flights. So they spent around like 4,000 rupees, like 4,000 bucks per person in the flights, and there were three people. But the same place we actually covered in the train. So, I mean, of course, the train journey is so beautiful and it is also longer. It's a longer journey, but we ended up spending 60% of the amount less than what they had spent. So these are some things that you will have to do your research. I mean, of course, I'm not saying you should not take flights for any travels, any travel rides or journeys. You can, but if there is a better option, if there is a cheaper and a convenient option, that is something that you can prefer when it comes to transportation. Also, another tip that I can give you is maybe on the transportation. Just one more point. Um, just make sure you actually install the Google Maps and also download the offline maps. So offline maps will help you whenever your internet connectivity is not good at that place. So make sure you have the offline maps downloaded wherever or whenever you're going. So that will give you a good navigating experience. And of course, always have a buffer time. Whenever you're planning your sightseeing or any attractions that you want to go and explore, just make sure you have enough buffer time after the arrival time. So the flight journeys, you never know when it would get delayed. So that is something that you will have to keep in mind. Then comes accommodation. Accommodation is very simple, So the hotels or any accommodations that you're going to book should be sorted first. So as an IK, you can actually plan the entire thing after you reach the place. There are things that can go well in the last moment, but there are also things that may not go well in the last moment if you book any accommodation. So always, at least for the first 2 days, have your basic accommodation sorted, and then after 2 days, you can ask the locals and you can shift to different places as well. But the first 2 days accommodation should be sorted out, and that is something that you have to keep in mind. And whenever you're booking any place, please read the reviews. And here, while reading the reviews, always do not look at just the Google rating under the reviews. So there is a filter called most recent. So this most recent reviews will give you better idea of how the hotel is, how the accommodation is over the last very recently. Because what happens is that there are a lot of hotels or accommodations that must have been doing really well or would have done really well in the last 3 years, but in the last 3 weeks their service might be very horrible. So you never know what happens. All we look at is, okay, what is the Google rating of this place? So the Google rating is anywhere between 4 to 4.5. Okay, let's book it. But what happens is that our experience might not be as smooth as we want. That's because in the last, I mean, very recently, this particular property is not doing well. So those things you will get to know when you look at the most recent reviews. And the next thing is exploration. Of course, the same tip. Whenever you're, can we proceed to the next slide? Yeah. So exploration is something that you can do your research. Though you do your research, there are a lot of things that you will get to know only when you meet the local people. So what I would say is, of course, you can watch a lot of travel bloggers videos. You can watch a lot of influencer reels on Instagram. So these things, and you can also read a lot of blogs. All these um, uh, references will give you a good plan, like major attractions that you should definitely visit whenever you're visiting these places. Those basic plans can be laid out. That those things can be planned, but there are a few things that you can plan only when you talk to the locals. So always have enough flexibility to tweak your plan according to what locals say, because the locals know a lot of hidden gems, and those are the things that I would highly recommend you to try, because that's why we are traveling so far, so long, and we have to do something new and local cuisines as well. Uh, if you're a foodie, please make sure you do that. Spending. Spending, of course. So whatever we've covered till now, if you have planned till now, if you have planned everything properly, spending is much easier. So we actually end up spending more in travel and accommodation. If those two things are taken care of, then spending is much easier. But there are a few things that you will have to keep in mind whenever you're traveling to abroad countries or even domestic. So always have some cash, hand cash, not some. At least you should be able to survive with that hand cash for at least for the 2 days of your travel plan. So that should be your objective. If you don't have enough money that you can survive for the next 2 days or at least for a day, then chances are that you're not doing the right thing. And especially when you're traveling abroad, this is the very basic thing that you should do. Have at least 1 day or 2 days currency at least ready, so that you at least you can take an auto ride or you can take a cab or a taxi. So you should have enough money to spend for that. Of course, you should have you should have booked your hotels and everything. Till hotel, you should have the money to spend on the cabs or taxis. So that's one thing. And there are also a lot of apps today where you can load your cash into INR, and the app will convert. So with that app, you can convert your money to any currency wherever you're traveling. So I know a lot of apps which support close to 120, 121 currencies. So you can try that out as well. So yeah, I mean, these are things that you will have to keep in mind when it comes to spending. So can we proceed to the next slide? And also we have curated a long weekend cheat sheet for you guys. Uh, so it covers all the long weekends in this year till September. I think it's more than that. And we also have maybe recommended you the best places to visit during those long weekends. So we are going to share this PPT with you. You can take a look at it. Make sure you cover all these places during the weekends, during the long weekends that you would see. So I think this is definitely going to help you. And there is one more poll coming your way. We would definitely love you to answer this. This is going to be great insight for us. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, pay using credit card. This is something that I've expected. And yeah, I think I also do this. I mean, in the past till now, but till now I just got better at it actually. So now I'm not using credit cards at all for any of my bookings. Uh, so using credit cards is good, but it's just that the pain to pay back the amounts in the next coming months is definitely not something that I would love. But yeah, great insights. Pay using credit card is more instant payment from bank account. Again, interesting. Save specifically for this period. This is more interesting. Great. 6 people save specifically for this spend. Great insights. With this, I'm going to actually hand over the presentation to Nikhil, a very good friend and an investment expert. He's going to walk you through the upcoming slides, and he's going to talk about the specifics of how you can exactly plan for your trips and save more budgeting techniques and stuff. So I hope you will have a good time. Nikhil, over to you.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Kaushik. So actually, thanks for your insights. What I wanted to share with all of you is that like 75% of us have voted that we use either our credit cards to pay or we pay by instantly using, say, our salary or whatever money we have in our account. Now, let's talk about a mindset change. Exactly what we talk about here at Multiple. So, what is exactly traveling impulsively? So, does it mean like you're spontaneous? You have not decided your destination way in advance, maybe not 6 months back, but maybe just 2 weeks back, or maybe even a week back if it's domestic, and these kind of actions are not really impulsive. That is fine, that may just be your nature, but the impulsive spending part of travel is rather deciding to travel without actually having a plan to travel or an intention to travel, where you make the decision based on maybe someone else traveling, or you hearing about a discount on some trip or on some website, or going to some place because someone else, maybe your friends are going or someone is going. That can be called an impulsive decision to travel. And what often happens when we take such decisions is that, not like what Kaushik had mentioned, you not just that you have to pay your bills or pay your credit card bills later on, but you also exhaust a lot of money which you don't have. I mean, which you have, and also something which you don't have. Now, what is the cost of exactly traveling impulsively? If you have taken, say, a debt, say, a personal loan or a credit card debt to travel, you could be paying interest anywhere between 10 to 45%, depending on how long you run your loan. Although you will have fun for the duration that you travel, maybe you decided immediately to travel and 15 days you'll have fun, but post that the repayment period may stretch for 3 months, 6 months, or even longer, which may not be such a pleasant experience, especially if it happens repeatedly. On the other hand, if you are still saving it even in something like a bank account, saving specifically for your travel goal, but something like a bank account will be earning anywhere between 3 to 4%. Maybe a 6 month FD will give you 5%, but the inflation itself is around 5 to 7%. It was more than 6% for the last financial year. So effectively, you are losing out money on that. Now, the question is, can you do something better with your money so that you can travel for cheaper or have a better experience, or save that extra money that you have? Now, like we saw, saving in banks, FD, RD, or even using a credit card is inefficient. Now, what we are saying is that there is a smarter way to travel, which is what we kind of offer at Multipl. But let's have a look at what exactly that is. So, how can Multipl save you for your travel? Now, what happens is, when on Multipl, when you save for your travel, you what happens is you invest your money somewhere. We'll talk about where it's invested in the next slide, but you invest your money, you grow it, it grows higher than inflation, and we have brand tie-ups, one-to-one brand tie-ups, who offer us exclusive deals. Now, combine those brand offers along with the returns that you're making, and the overall travel that you're doing becomes much more affordable, or becomes rather a very less financial burden, plus also the guilt and remorse which we talked about earlier. uh, and additionally, we also have many rewards that you can save for. This is like a cherry on top, which you can use separately with a lot of other brands. Now, where does Multipl invest for my goal? So we'll just quickly walk through where we do it, where we make the investments. So Multipl invest into mutual funds. What are mutual funds? Mutual funds are not an asset class, but it's an instrument to invest in various asset classes. There are four primary asset classes that are available in mutual funds: debt, equity, alternatives, and hybrid is a mix of debt and equity. What is the benefit if you choose a mutual fund to invest or put your money in? One is that there is a professional fund manager managing, or a team managing your money. So you don't have to worry about managing it on a daily or a weekly basis. Plus, the returns are also definitely better than the bank savings on an average. And the SIPs, what it helps you is that, one, it gives you a discipline to save for your goal continuously. Plus, it also averages out. Say, markets quite often move in cycles, but if you keep investing across cycles, on an average, you will end up earning a better return than most other alternatives. Now comes the question of how to select the funds. Now, the selection has to be based on your specific needs. So, travel in this case, because we are focusing on travel today, and the relative asset valuation. So, where to invest? So, equity may give a higher return, but usually it's a more volatile asset. And today, markets are on a high. Probably after COVID, 2 years, markets were on a high, but the market had peaked. Equity markets had peaked around October 2021. It's been almost 15 months from then, but the market is still at the same level today. So what happened had you invested at that peak for your travel today, say 1 year later, you would probably not have made money, or in quite possibly also lost money if you would have made a lump sum at the wrong time. So this selection becomes really important, and the selection needs to be done based on the relative asset valuations. And index funds are obviously a good option for someone who is, not wanting to bother about selecting the mutual funds, for example. But you don't have to worry about that on Multipl. All the things that we talked about, because the what Multipl does is it gives you a personalized portfolio, particularly for you. So this portfolio is designed as per your risk profile. You will be completing a risk profile questionnaire on Multipl, and based on your risk profile, the goal duration which you input, say 6 months, the goal value that you pick, say 1 lakh, and the purpose or the category of the goal that you pick. Now there are 1,500 direct mutual funds in the market. How do you select any one out of them? So we do the heavy listing for you on your behalf. And what how we analyze the funds is there are quantitative and qualitative filters that we have. So what we look at, not just the last 1 year return or last 3-4 years return, we look at consistency of returns, the volatility of the funds. We look at how the fund managers have performed previously in their other roles, if they were, or if even if they were managing the same fund, how have they performed in the past, and what kind of securities do they hold in their portfolio. And after these quantitative parameters are analyzed, we do a ranking, it's an internal ranking, and select only those which clear our filter, or which are basically better than the rest of the funds within the respective categories. Not just quantitative, we also have qualitative filters where we look at things like how have the has the fund manager followed the investment philosophy that they talk about? Has the fund manager delivered to the mandate that the mutual fund has? How has the mutual fund house treated the unit holders in the past whenever there has been issue? In past instances of issue, like if you remember 2018 ILFS crisis that happened, ILFS was a government entity, AAA rated, but defaulted on their debt. So there were some mutual funds which are not holding papers of this, whereas some were holding. So that is kind of a qualitative analysis, which today looking at numbers you will not get. But going back into time and looking at who held the papers at that time, who were the fund managers, how much was the exposure, gives you a sense of how the funds may be expected to perform today, or are these guys likely to repeat the mistake or not. So there are some funds in various categories that we are aware of who have never held any paper with a D rating. So those are some qualitative filters that we apply. And the philosophy that we operate with is the safety, liquidity, and return. So safety comes first. We want to protect the capital as number one priority. Then comes liquidity, that it should be available anytime you want to withdraw. It should not be that you want money today, but you are having to wait for, say, 6 months to withdraw that. That is, liquidity is the second priority. If we take care of these parameters, right, quantitative, qualitative, along with safety and liquidity, returns is something that we consider to be a outcome of the process. So on an average, the market linked returns are higher than most other alternatives. So chasing returns may not deliver the highest outcome that you want. You may end up taking much more risk than required. So that is why you focus on the process as well as the safety and liquidity. And returns quite often follow. We have a extremely good track record for us. And yeah, and the final thing is that once we do all these parameters analysis, 1,500 funds narrow down to around 3 to 5 funds, which you will be allocated for your goal, and you can simply just start the SIP and continue investing there. And by the end of the goal, you can just enjoy whatever money you have won, plus the brand partnerships that we have, which can make your overall travel, or any goal for that matter, much more value for money, or much more cheaper. Also, our platform is no commission. zero commission. So we have no incentive to push one fund over the other. We only select the funds based on the parameters that I mentioned earlier and customize to your risk profile. Something which is suitable for you may not be suitable for someone sitting next to you, your neighbor or your parents or your kids. It varies. The requirements vary from people to people. So that is why it's very important to have a customized investment for your which suits your profile. So being a no commission platform, we have the luxury, so to say, to allocate funds for you which are suitable only for you. We don't have the pressure of anyone telling us to do something because we don't take any commission from anyone. Therefore, no confusion. You don't have to worry about what to do, and no promotion. Like if you would have heard, mutual funds have a lot of NFOs on our platform. We have never done NFOs. We have a minimum criteria of minimum 3 years in existence before we allocate a mutual fund, because with less than 3 years there is absolutely no track record based on which we can invest. So those kind of risks is something we want to avoid. And yeah, so that was quickly on the mutual funds part. Now coming back to the mindset shift which I started with, instead of paying extra on your bills or paying an interest or paying in terms of say inflation also in the bank, like we saw, you may be earning 3-4%, but inflation is 6-7%. You are effectively losing out some money, although the absolute amount may be higher, but you're losing out money. So if you can see a few comparisons here. So this is like for a 50,000 rupees goal over 6 months. If you're booking it via EMI, maybe a credit card interest levies an interest of around 30-36% annually, which you will end up paying around 55,000 plus. If you save in banks, definitely you make some returns at 3%, which is again post inflation lower, but still you're making some money, better than not earning or better than paying extra. This ends up around 49,250, for example. But what happens on Multipl is that the amount that you have to save for it in advance is much lower. Like you can see, it's 8,083 versus say 9,333 for credit card. And plus, at the end of the period, if you look, the total amount you have paid out of your pocket is only 44,000. The rest is coming from say some return from market plus some benefit from your brand. So that is how the model works, and it's the easy process to set up a goal. Basically, you can see a few screenshots of the app on the screen. You start with selecting your duration and your time, your value, the amount that you want. You will be recommended a few funds based or personalized for you. We have a lot of brand partners whom you can choose. There are various offers that they have. You can see the percentages vary across brand to brand. And finally, at the end of the 6 months or the period, you will get the money that you invested. Plus, you can choose to go with the brand and get further benefit. These are a few travel partners that we have on the platform today. Pick Your Trail, Ease My Trip, Yatra, Make My Trip. All the big ones are there. Plus, we also have further like luxury, the curated ones, Luxury Escapes, Wandering Jane is there, Dream Set Go. A lot of these are there. Plus, we are also running a mega jackpot right now. The travel bonanza for 2023 is going. So, if you start a goal before 30th June 2023, you stand a chance. One winner stands a chance to win a 1 lakh rupees worth Vietnam holiday. Three would get a Goa holiday worth 15,000, and everyone who participates will be getting a flight voucher worth 500. That is something that you should be aware of, and probably look forward for you guys to participate in it. Taking the first step is very easy on Multipl. You can start your first goal in under 5 to 10 minutes. All you have to do is go sign up, provide a basic info, complete your KYC, complete your risk profile, and start investing. The risk profile part is needed because that helps us recommend funds for you as customized to you. Plus, it's also a SEBI requirement. We are a SEBI registered investment advisor, so it's a SEBI requirement to do risk profiling of the customer. But yeah, once the first goal is created, subsequent goals can be created within 30 to 60 seconds, and it's basically a very smooth process thereon. And yeah, I welcome you guys to join the Multipl movement. To invite any friends and family. Anybody who creates a goal will get a 500 rupees worth of voucher, and you can use the QR on your screen to download the app And yeah, happy to open the floor for Q&A. I saw a few of you were putting a few questions on the chat as well. I think Kirtana was answering a few, but yeah, I mean, any doubts, any queries you have, we are happy to answer. Sorry.
So if anybody wants to ask any questions or any queries, they can raise their hands so that I can unmute them. Yes, Ajit, I'll just unmute you. Yes. I see there is an error in microphone, so Ajit, I have unmuted you.
Yeah, I think he's facing some issues.
Yeah. Ajit, you can mention if any questions, you can mention it in the Q&A box if there is any issue you're facing. And mention your questions in the Q&A box. We'll answer it immediately.
Yeah, so meanwhile, I'll just answer a few queries which have come. So I think Prabhat had asked, what kind of returns do we get on multiple? And, we don't plan our trip 1 year in advance. So how do we plan for 3 to 4 months? I'll answer that. So the return really depends on the kind of mutual fund which is allocated. Now, the mutual fund which is allocated, like I showed, depends on your profile. So if you're a moderate profile, a different fund will be allocated to you versus if you're a growth or aggressive, the different one will be allocated to you. Having said that, for less than 12-month goals, like we said, safety, liquidity, and return is our philosophy. And safety is number one. And because the market valuation is on the higher side, today we are allocating only debt funds for less than 12 months. It's not like we don't allocate any other funds. We do allocate hybrid and equity, but given the market valuation today, it doesn't make sense. So debt funds in the historical period, like 1 year ending, say April this year, had given around 7.5, 7.57%, those which had cleared multiple filters. So you can expect some, I mean, that has been the historical return basically. And, that combined with the brand benefits that we have makes it a pretty sweet deal in general. Because if you honestly look at the other alternatives, like you have mentioned, 3 to 4 months, or let's say even if we take 6 months, the option is either a FD or an RD. A 6 month FD will not give you more than 5 or 5.5% today, even after the interest rates have increased. And an RD will give you somewhere around that. And the 7.5 or 8% is definitely better than that. Plus the brand tie-ups which you said, right? Since they are exclusive brand tie-ups, we have Make My Trip, which is giving 12% off on hotels. We have Ease My Trip, which is giving 10% off on hotels and travel. And we are giving there are other partners which are giving pretty good discounts. So combine both of these, and you have a very good value for your money that you invest. Definitely much better than paying interest, no doubt about it, but much better than keeping in other alternatives also for such a short duration of time. I hope I've answered your query. Yeah, John Doe has also asked if the returns mentioned are fixed or they depend on market risk. So definitely it is a mutual fund investment. So there is we cannot, as per law, we cannot guarantee any return. The returns cannot be guaranteed, but like I mentioned, and I'm repeating the same, the funds are allocated based on the market valuation, right? So because the market is expensive, we are giving debt funds, and debt funds have a very less amount of volatility. They are not 100% fixed, but they have very less volatility. It's extremely unlikely, like we did a study for 25 years of data for debt funds or liquid indexes. the probability of return going negative or being zero is extremely low. So while we cannot guarantee as per law, and given that you are receiving a higher return than most other instruments for the same duration, there is definitely an element of market volatility. But given the selection and the kind of parameters we choose to select the funds, the probability of any kind of capital loss is extremely low. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Meenakshi was asking, do I have a say in allocation of funds? So again, we are SEBI registered investment advisors. Now, as per SEBI regulation, if we have a customer who is coming to us, it is our job to give a recommendation to you. So that is why we have given a recommendation, and the funds are kind of logged there. So you are not able to choose which fund you want today, but we are working on expanding the options. So going forward, we will have a few options within the categories that we pick. So you will have more flexibility, and probably you can take some options that you like.
I have shared a feedback link. It would be really nice if you can give your valuable feedbacks. I'll again share the same.
Yeah, and Ajit, you have mentioned, right, you wanted to discuss more on investment goal-based investment options. So you can sign up on the app, and the app will recommend purely based on your profile and everything suitable for your goal. But you can also fill the feedback form that Kirtana has given with your contact details. We'll reach out to you, and if you have any specific queries, we can clear that out. There is a support email also visible on the screen right now. You can always write email to us, and we'll definitely respond to you, any of you. Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, Nikhil. Meenakshi has asked, can I take out funds in an emergency situation?
Yeah, sure. Like I mentioned, safety, liquidity, and return. Liquidity is one very important parameter for us. So there is absolutely no lock-in on multiple, and in any case, your money goes directly to the mutual fund. It does not come to multiple even for 1 minute. It goes directly from your bank account to the mutual fund and back from the mutual fund to your account. So the funds that we allocate or we recommend rather is are purely liquid. That is another advantage of mutual funds, that even if you keep for say 10 days, you'll earn 10 days worth of return, unlike an FD, where if you create a 6-month FD but break it in 10 days, maybe you will face a penalty of early exit and also get a lower return. So that is another advantage you have in mutual funds, especially debt mutual funds. And but yeah, to answer your query, you can always redeem the money in an emergency situation. There is just one caveat I would like to point out for that. There is one category of tax saver goals. If you create a tax saver goal that is logged in for 3 years by law, there is no lock-in by multiple on any of the goals. So just be mindful of that. Except for tax saver, everything you can withdraw anytime. And the tax saver also, it's logged in as per law, not as per not as, because we want it to be logged in. So yeah, you can always pull out your money anytime you want. Yeah, Meenakshi has also asked another question. So I want to plan a trip to North America for watching FIFA World Cup in 2026. What would be approx budget? So uh, it's difficult to directly point at a number, but you can consider tickets to and fro will be, along with visa, will be somewhere around 1 lakh today. Maybe in 3 years, along with inflation, it may be 1 lakh 20 odd after 3 years. Plus, I'm not really sure how much the tickets cost, but let's say it's 40 50,000 or even higher. So maybe around 2 lakh is just the travel and the experience. And along with that, some stay will be needed. And if you're going to North America, probably you may want to spend some time there as well, other than to travel. So 10 days worth of budget. So probably somewhere around 2.5 to 3 lakhs might be suitable. Again, it like Kaushik had mentioned, it depends on your personal choices. It will be cheaper if you stay in a hostel. It will be more expensive if you stay in a 5 star. It will be cheaper if you use common public transport. It will be more expensive if you use a lot of private transport. So it really depends on what you are planning. But yeah, definitely, we also work on bringing specific tie-ups with experiences. We have a F1 tie-up, so you can go and watch F1, and we've got a very good deal for it. Now, similarly, as the World Cup closes in, definitely we'll look to, depending on the demand, we'll look to get source tickets for, or experiences rather, for the World Cup, and you can even make use of that and probably get specific higher discounts. Yeah, thanks, guys. Any further queries you have, even if you like, you can post it on the chat. If you want, you can write to us at support, and we'll definitely reach out to you. Do fill in your contact details. We'll share the cheat sheet which Kaushik had talked about for 2023. Plus, we'll also share the peak season, off shoulder season kind of months, and that will help you in planning your travel future.
Thank you, everyone. We'll wait for 2 more minutes so that people are filling the feedback forms. We'll wait for 2 more minutes. If you have any questions, please post it here, or else please write to our support. We will answer all your queries.
Yeah, John is asking how much is the turnaround time. We strive to answer all our queries within 24 hours, so definitely you will get a response within that, and we can connect after that. Right, thank you, guys. It was a pleasure talking to all of you. I hope you guys found the session useful. Okay, I think Smita has another query. What is the difference between Cred and you? They also offer good discounts. So I'll tell you, the primary difference is in the mindset shift which we talked about, which is like save for your travel, invest for your travel, and consume that money whatever you've invested plus the returns, and go and purchase. Now, where you make the purchase is your choice. You can go make a purchase offline with your local travel agent. You can buy it on any other website. But since Multipl we have exclusive tie-ups with brands, like Make My Trip has some holidays listed on their platform, which may be, for example, 1.5 lakh, but on our platform they are offering it for 1.3 lakh. So that, because it's an exclusive tie-up and you can get a better price here, that is why I would say that is the primary difference. So invest for your travel or invest for your goal, plus get the exclusive brand benefit is the differentiator that we have. Now you may ask the question, why are why is someone giving you a better price than their own website? The reason is that the day you start a goal, the brand has an idea that we don't share any specific information to anyone, but as a group, the brand has an idea that, okay, 20 to 25-year-olds, 10,000 people have tagged, say, my Make My Trip, for example, Sri Lanka goal. Now they have a visibility that, okay, out of 1,000 people, some will be taking out or taking the offer. Now those guys, they are willing to offer a better discount for this visibility. So that is how exactly we kind of get a better deal than most other places. and along with the investment returns, it becomes a pretty sweet deal. Yeah, John is asking, do we need to choose a brand when creating a goal? So yes, you need to choose a brand when creating a goal. It's not mandatory to redeem with the brand. It is totally optional. And neither is it that you are tied to the brand. You can always change your brand anytime throughout the goal journey. Even at the time of redemption, you have the choice either to, redeem the money and take just the returns back in your account, or if you want to purchase the brand voucher and get the extra benefit whatever the brand is offering, and you can always change your brand. Suppose you chose Make My Trip and after the goal you want to choose Ease My Trip, you can always do that and go with the offer that Ease My Trip is offering. The brand tagging is only an indicative interest that an extra benefit that you have. It's not mandatory to go with the brand alone. All right. Thanks a lot. Kirtana, maybe you can close the session in another minute.
Yes, Nikhil. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending the session. Thank you for your participation. Thank you.